This video will explain all the different versions of the arrow rule. So the arrow rule involves different ways of taking either conditionals or a negated conditional and turning them into some other kind of formula. So if we have the conditional A arrow B, well, then if we want to, we can turn that into the disjunction not A or B. And if you think about that, think about the truth conditions for when A arrow B is true. Well, A arrow B is true when either A is false or when B is true. So, not A or B. Then if we have not A arrow B, well, then that turns into the disjunction A or B. And that makes sense. We can also, if we have the conditional A arrow B, we can also turn that into the negated conjunction. It's false that A and not B. And again, if you think back to the truth table for A arrow B, and when that's true, well, the only time A arrow B is false is if A is true and B is false. So, if A arrow B is true, well, then it's false that you have both A true and B false. So, that's where you get the formulation. That's where you get that rule. And of course, all of these rules, they go both ways. The most useful one is the version where it says it's false that A arrow B. Because that lets you take this negated conditional and turn it into a conjunction, which is a whole lot more easy to work with. You really can't do a whole lot with it's false that A and B. But if you have A and not B, you can do a whole lot with that. So that's really the version of arrow that's the most useful. The rest are really not that useful that many times, in my opinion. Maybe the ones that turn them into a disjunction. There might be cases where that's useful, but mostly not. Mostly not. I mean, if you have modus tollens, you can do whatever you could do with it in the conditional form that you could do with it, say, using disjunctive argument. So it really doesn't gain you a whole lot usually to switch it into a disjunction. But the one with the negated conditional, that's useful.